Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thanks for joining me for another video. This is Quita from AtHomeWithQuita, and here I share tips on how to plan a balanced life. So if you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. So most of you guys know by now that I am a list maker at heart. I absolutely love making lists. I'm a little obsessed with it. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tools for creating lists. So let's get into it. Alright, so you guys know I really love making lists. I don't know, it just gives me some sense of satisfaction to get it all out of my head, put it in list form, and then eventually spread it out throughout my planner in the various sections that it goes to so I can start checking things off and getting things done. So I do have a full list section here in the back of my planner that just has a few lists. It doesn't have all of my lists, just so I can have a couple of things here at my fingertips that I may need to reference. So I do have a list section here, but today I'm going to be sharing with you guys 5 tools for creating lists outside of my little section here in my planner. So this is my actual list making notebook. It has a ton of lists in here that I love to reference, and I'm always picking this up to write new lists. So this is just a great place to dump out your list. Now, when I'm making my daily to-do list and things I need to do for the week, I'm not writing that in here. This is just for various lists because, again, I'm obsessed with making lists. So if you want to be a list maker like me, or you just feel like you're not really sure on how to create lists or some tools that will help you, hopefully this video will be just what you need. So again, list making notebook, it has just a ton of things. I'm going to rewrite some of the lists that are in here now. That's what I have them in the front here because I just want to rewrite them. Otherwise, this thing is set up pretty nicely. So we've got the black cover here from our shop, and then we've got lots of accessories so I can put little pockets and things in there. I put the dashboards in here because I am going to revamp this a little bit. So these are our skinny classic dashboards, comes in a set of 6. And then as you can see, all of my various sections here. So we've got to do, to go, to buy, to learn, to create, to read, goals, ideas, projects, home, wish list, brain dump, and that is it. And at the top, we've got a couple of sections there as well. We've got lists, so I can get directly to where the lists start and bypass all of these accessories here. And then we've got extras in the back. So this is my list making notebook. So the first thing that you're going to need is a notebook. So you can use a different type of notebook other than Discbound, but I prefer the Discbound system. I love a good Discbound notebook. And I tell you, after you try it out and you see how easy it is to add, to remove pages, to move things around, you are going to be hooked too if you are not typically a Discbound person. Now you can use your traditional hardbound notebooks, softbound notebooks. There are coil notebooks out there as well. But in my opinion, because I'm just a Discbound girl, I love the functionality of it and the flexibility to be able to take this list here, put it in my planner if I want, or I can take this, put it in the back. I can purge it out if I need to. There's just so much more versatility and functionality, and you know, just to be able to create something according to exactly what you need. That's what Discbound does. You can start fresh and build this thing exactly the way you need it to be. So my favorite products right now, of course, are going to be from our shop, Fancy Plans Co., and that is pretty much what I'm using. But there are a ton of other companies out there that you can research and look up to see if you want to use their products in terms of creating a notebook for yourself. When it comes to the Discbound system, which is what we're going to talk about, because to me, like I said, that's just going to be the best way to custom build a notebook. If you just need a little scratch pad or a notepad for your to-do list or whatever list you're creating, you're more than welcome to do that, of course. But Fancy Plans Co., of course, our shop has it all mostly Discbound stuff. And then we also have ARC, which is available in Staples. They have a Discbound system. We have the Happy Planner, of course. Martha Stewart has a Discbound system. Inkwell Press also has a Discbound system. And there are probably more that I haven't mentioned here. But do your research. There are a ton of other companies out there that you can look to try to figure out if that's what you want to use to create your lists making notebook. Because I do believe that everyone should have some sort of list making notebook that that you can toss in your purse. This is super easy to be able to toss in my purse if I would like. It is the Slim from Notique, so I can easily just toss it in my bag and take with me on the go. So the first thing that you're gonna need is a notebook. And again, I prefer Discbound, and you probably will too. If you haven't tried it yet, go out and grab a Discbound notebook, try it out, see what you think. And if of course it doesn't work for you, then try something else. So Discbound notebook, you definitely need a notebook if you're going to start taking lists. The next thing I love for list making is dot grid or lined paper. So of course you're going to need some sort of paper, but you're going to want to determine what type of paper that's going to be. And you may want to use a mixture of both, like I do. Typically when it comes to list making, I love lots of different types of paper. And so I will use this sort of setup right here, which is our 3 columns. So that way I can separate my list into different categories if needed. I also love a good ruled setup. So these are our ruled sheets. They come in half sheet, and they make it easy to just write a quick list out and just pop it in your planner if you don't need a full page. I also love a combination or a hybrid setup where it has dot grid and line grid. That gives you the best of both worlds. Dot grid is great for if you want to do some sort of you may want to draw something out. It's great for that because it has the dots here. It makes it easy for you to make sure everything is lined up. And so dot grid and line really just helps to keep things neater, and it gives you a foundation for taking those notes. And I think that that's really important. So I tend to use, again, mostly Fancy Plans Co. product, but there are so many companies out there that have lined and dot grid paper and also lined grid. So lined grid paper is basically going to have the lines horizontal and the lines going vertical. And that's a great way to be able to make sure that everything is lined up as well. So lined grid, lined dot grid are great for taking notes. Again, I mostly use Fancy Plans Co. products, but the Happy Planner has both lined and dot grid. And then there's also a ton of printables that you can find on Etsy that you can just print at home, and you can take those notes and build your notebook from printables online, which is a great option as well. So grab some either lined grid, dot grid, figure out what paper is going to work best for you with taking notes, and go ahead and just start building it from there. The next thing that I find super helpful are the dot stickers. So I am a little bit obsessed right now with dots. And so I keep them in my planner right here, tucked in this pocket here, so I have easy access to them when I'm ready to use them. And they're great, I'm telling you, for color coding. If you want to color code your list, they're ideal for color coding. So instead of actually having to draw something out or color something in yourself, these dots are perfect for that. And so I use these all the time to create my lists. And if I want to color code it, then of course I'll have to know what those colors represent. And so it's super easy to use these. I love them because they're like washi dots, so they're super thin and you can kind of still see through them a little bit. And there are several others too. And then shops on Etsy, most everyone has some sort of color coding, and also inside of the Happy Planner sticker books. So you can just take it just like so, and then you can go ahead and write in whatever that to-do list item is. And again, if you have some sort of color coding system, you can create a key with these, and then you can start to write out your to-do list. So it's just super easy to be able to have things color coded. And so these are super functional. I use these all the time, and they're super easy to use. They're very lightweight because they're like washi, made of like a washi material. And so you literally just stick it on the page. And this just allows you to identify things even further. Again, if you have some sort of color coding system, it allows you to add just a little pop of color to your pages if that's what you're looking for as well. And it just makes it more fun when creating your to-do list. So I would definitely go out and grab some dots. These are from our shop, but they have a ton of companies have different dots that you can purchase and be able to use them in creating your lists. Another great tool for creating lists are stamps. So stamps make things even more easy. So there are, again, so many options out there. I have a pretty good stamp collection. And so here are some stamps that I use to create lists. And again, it just makes it really, really easy to not have to draw those lines out, especially if you're doing like blank paper or dot grid paper. You may just want to grab some stamps to make it that much easier. So you pull that off there and put it onto your block here. You can find these blocks at your local craft store. It has little lines here to make it easy for you to line up the stamp to the block, and then grab some ink and literally dab it in the stamp. Make sure you get enough on there. And this isn't going to be a good example because it's not blank paper. So I do wish I had that for you. Let me see if I can find something here that will make it so that you can see it better. So you would literally just take it and stamp it right on wherever you want it. This is also good if you're using the vertical layout because it doesn't have lines. So you could use this in place of just drawing it out. If you have a stencil, stencils work great as well. That's another great tool for making lists or stencils. And they basically make lines like this and little check boxes. I do use a stencil as well. That's not a part of the 5, but it is a great tool as well. So very easy to use. So I love stamping as well when it comes to making lists. It just makes it, again, a little bit more fun because most of us use this as a creative outlet as well. And so if you can make it fun, I think that that is helpful too in making lists. And so I use stamps as well, and stencils are kind of along the same lines. And so this is a great option. All right, so last up when it comes to making lists is going to be colored pens and highlighters. I have a whole setup here, as you can see. I have 2 of these sort of setups that have lots of like pens and things in there. And I use lots of different ones when it comes to color coding. So some of my favorite are Frixion. I love them because they're erasable. So as you can see, I've got these. I also have the standard pen and multiple colors. And then I have the marker, which is really cool. So the beautiful thing about Frixion is that you can write it out, and if you mess something up, you can erase it. And I love this one because of the tip is perfect. It's got the perfect amount of ink. So let me zoom you in a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. And I think these are just perfect for color coding and writing out your plans, but you want to be able to have them, you know, a specific color. So you just turn it over with the eraser and erase it, and it erases all the way. It's perfect. And same with the markers. So if you wanted to come in and just have a color-coded box, or you wanted to line something color-coded, or you wanted to write something out, you could do that. And then again, if something happens and you mess it up, then you can easily erase it. All right, so it probably wasn't a good idea to erase over top of the marker, but you get the point of what I'm saying. So I love Frixion. I also love super tip markers. They are very bright, and they all come in a ton of colors, as you can see. Even with the Frixion, it comes in a ton of colors. So there's sure to be something there that you need in terms of the color. And so if I transition over to a different section, you'll be able to see I have so many pens in here. So as you can see, I've got my Papermate. Those are a great option when it comes to color coding. And then I've got all of this, Papermate Flare. And then these are probably Tombow. And then I've got my super tips. I love super tips. They're from Crayola. You can get them on Amazon. And these colors are just so beautiful. So I use these a lot when it comes to color coding, underlining things, just adding a pop of color to my lists. It just makes things easier and just more fun. Again, that's what it's all about. So as you can see how pretty and soft that color is. So super tips are a great option as well. So between colored pens and markers, I think those are both a great option when it comes to making lists, making things pop, and just being able to clearly identify those tasks you want to complete. And if you do that by color coding, by categorizing things, then you'll definitely want to grab yourself some markers or colored pens, especially because lists don't typically lend themselves to using too many stickers, washi tape, and etc. So colored pens and highlighters are ideal for adding a little color, specifically color coding again, and adding color to what could otherwise be a boring list. So that is it, guys. Those are my 5 tools for creating lists. Hopefully they were helpful to you. Again, I am obsessed with making lists. So the first thing was a Discbound Notebook, some sort of notebook system that you'll need in order to create these lists you're going to be creating, and then determine the paper type, dot grid, line grid, or lined grid, if that makes sense. Dot grid, lined paper, or lined grid. I've shared with you guys all of the options that I typically use. I also love colored dot stickers, stamps, and then finally colored pens and highlighters. So thank you guys so much for watching today. I really appreciate you stopping by my channel. Hopefully you enjoyed it so much so that you'll give me a thumbs up on this video. You'll consider subscribing to my channel if you're new here, and you'll come back by and catch another video, in which case I'll see you guys then.